This video is just a quick walkthrough of the SDK for Mobile Entree 4 and some sample applications that we're providing. I'm going to run through them really quickly from the mobile interface so you know what we're talking about, and then I'll run through them on the Visual Studio project side, and we can kind of walk through some of the code so you can see how it works. I really recommend you pull down the solution and crack it open and deploy it and start playing with it to really get a feel for how it works. So the first project that we are providing is a sample action provider. An action provider is an application, mobile entree application, that you're able to use to integrate with the action tray. So the action tray is our new integration point for third-party integration. If you look up here, when we tap on it when we're in the calendar, we're able to create a new event. We're able to switch views. Third party can also integrate at this point and allow you to have custom actions when looking at the calendar like this. Our custom action is particular to list items that have append-only comments and allows you to view those append-only comments. So if we take a look at this item in the calendar, open up our action tray, you'll see that our custom action shows up and allows us to view those comments. The second application that is in our SDK, and again, this comments action provider is read-only, but your actions can have form fields as well. The second project is a custom application that allows you to attach to a list and make it searchable. So this particular one is connected to a list with a bunch of test data in it, allowing me to search for an item, view that item, and then the other part of this sample is the ability to consume actions. So this custom application is able to consume the edit capabilities from our framework, so the developer doesn't actually have to develop these screens. So this context menu with the fields and the save and delete button, this is all provided from the framework, and you just have to pass the proper context. The third project is a theme that provides a custom control for our action tray, our action provider project. So if we take a quick look back at this, this control here is a custom control that our theme provides. And so within the sample project, it gives you a good idea of how those custom controls can be built and then implemented into your own projects. So let's go ahead and dig into the code and see how this works. So starting with the sample action provider, you'll see that we have the action provider item added to the solution. There's a single feature in here with that action provider inside of it for deployment, or activation rather. Within our plugin path, what this means is whatever you put in here is going to be deployed to the images directory at a particular path. And these are the action tray icons for this item. So if we look back at our interface, this comments icon here is using this item right here. So we open up the code here, scrolling down to the query scope. It's well commented, so I'm not going to go through it too much. But basically, what the action provider does is it checks to see if the scope of the current screen is a list item. Then it checks to see if that list item has an append-only comments field. If it does, then it places a link in the action tray for that append-only comments field with a click action that targets the context menu, sets click action properties of all the properties of the list item that was in the scope, and then adds that action to the action tray. Then, when this click action is clicked, the query list of our action provider is called. So then we go through, we pull out those properties that we put in the click action, and we add our custom control, comment list item, and set the author date properties so that it displays properly. And that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the theme now so we can understand how this comment list item custom control is created. So taking a look at our sample theme, you can see that we have a sample theme item. And within our feature, it's just the one item as well, so when you activate the feature, it activates the theme. Inside our theme, we have a CSS style sheet that will get deployed, as well as an image that's used within the style sheet. We have a user agent mapping, which basically just puts, it references the CSS style sheet. And then we have a list styles file. This is our custom control. So taking a look at our custom control here, you give it a name, a version comment, and then the markup of a custom control always starts with an LI because all controls are placed within a UL. And this is JS render syntax because we use the JS render library for control rendering. And it's actually very simple. You're just grabbing the text property, the author property, and the date property, and putting them within the markup. Within the theme, we also have a class defined that inherits from the entree list item that allows you to reference this control very easily and using the properties within the class to define this control. You don't have to do that. You could use the base entree list item object and set the properties within the property bag, but it's just much easier to objectify it and use it this way. So jumping back to the action provider, just want to close the loop on this. Here's where we're referencing that custom control, and here are the properties that we're setting within that control. So when it gets rendered using this markup, setting those properties that we set. So now let's go ahead and jump into the sample application and see what's in there. So within the application, we've got our sample application item, as well as a user control for configuration. Now this is one thing that I do want to show you really quick. If we go into our mobile entree configuration page and we open up our sample app, it has a custom configuration page. So this is something that's also within the sample project to show you how to create your own tool part. So let's go back. So within the sample app, we've got the application itself, query list being the important method for rendering the different screens. Again, I'm not going to pour through this. It's commented well, so you can go through this on your own. One thing to note is down in we have an override for create config parts, or the config part collection, where we're adding our config part. Here's our config part class, where we're loading in the user control. And this inherits from the entree config part class, giving you the apply changes method that's used to actually apply the changes and grab the values from the user control and put them back into the app. Again, I encourage you to download the sample set of projects, start using them, change some things around, and really start to understand all the new things that are available to you in Mobile Entree 4.